Right, so here's our Bloodcrusher. Now the only thing I've done to it so far is just given it a bit of a zenith highlight with the airbrush. It gives it sort of like a matte black finish. I'll just grab the grey I used. So I used Vallejo's, grey, US grey. You can use Codex grey from the Games Workshop line, works just as well. I just happen to have Vallejo lying about. So unlike the previous Bloodcrusher, we've got some indentations here. Now personally I think they would sort of glow a little bit. So I'm going to go once over with the airbrush on these parts here and sort of give them a glowing effect. So yeah, be right back. So I'm going to be using Red Gore, Blood Red, Fiery Orange and maybe even Bad Moon Yellow. I haven't got the new Games Workshop paints, so you know, I'm sure there's a little conversion chart out there that you'll be able to look up. But I'm going to start off with putting Red Gore sort of messily, kind of all over the place, so I'll give it a glowing vibe. And then as further you get into the middle, the brighter it will go. I'm using an airbrush for the starting part, but I mean you can use a I find that anything you can do with an airbrush, you should be able to do it with a dry brush as well. It just takes longer. Or at least that's my take on it anyway. So I think that's all of the indenty bits which I want to glow done. Now with an airbrush, typically when you paint you do the most destructive painting first. Now that, like, if you're gonna, I don't know, dry brush, airbrush, you might be able to see just here on the, see if I can zoom that in a little bit. No, it's just made it a whole lot worse. You can see just here I've hit the armour where, you know, light wouldn't go from there to behind the corner and round. So I'm going to have to touch that up with a bit of black and a bit of grey, because obviously I've got the zenith highlight coming from the top, so it looks a bit grey from the top and more black underneath. But it's not too much of an issue, you know, that's to be expected when airbrushing. Let's move on to the next part. So we're going in with Blood Red now. Next one up from Red Gore. Let's go. Remember not to go as far as you did last time. Just fading the colours together. But yeah, that looks like that one's done. It's looking alright. I'm not sure if I'll actually go up to Bad Moon Yellow. I might just, actually having said that, I might do a mix of Blood Red and Bad Moon Yellow. It's a good thing about airbrushing, you can just sort of, well, just painting in general, you know, you can just sort of make it up as you go along. Have a general idea of what you want and do that. So what I've done is I've done a two-part Blood Red to one part Fiery Orange. It's sort of, I don't know if you can see that, sort of very orange, so I'm going to go quite light with this because I still want to try and keep it as red as possible, while still giving it that glowing effect. It's just really going around that centre ring, not really going too far out. I think it's giving it an alright effect. I don't know if you can see it on camera. No, you can see a nice blend there. My camera skills aren't on par with my painting skills. Right, so we're done with the airbrush now. I've done all the glowing parts, or I've done all the bits I want to be glowing on this model, done now. So what we're going to do now, we're going to hit all of the metal parts. I mentioned earlier, you're going to have like little straggly bits like this here, where you've hit a place where you didn't want to with paint. I'm not going to clean that up just yet, because I can almost guarantee you, I'm going to muck up on something else. So I'm actually going to go and hit that up later. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do all of the metals. We're going to go along with bolt gun metal and Balthazar gold. Yeah, Balthazar gold. Things to note here quickly. I've actually pinned this model to its base, so I can take it off. And there's all these underside bits. I'd highly recommend pinning your models before you paint them. So any bits which might be hard to reach, pin them definitely. So yeah, let's start hitting this model up with some bolt gun metal. So I'm just going to start hitting up all of these parts with bolt gun metal. I use a wet palette. Games Workshop don't sell wet palettes. I've made my own little one in the background there. Wet palettes are an awesome little tool. Very good for improving your painting skills. Sort of gets you, be it blending, be it any kind of blending really. So two-tone blending as well, two-color blending, two-brush blending, whatever you want to call it. Increases your ability to do that. Bit glazing. Glazing is a very cool skill to learn. Going all over the place with this model. Trying to talk and paint, or trying to film and paint and talk. It's crazy. I don't know how people do it. But yeah, basically I'm just going to go and hit everything which I think would be metal. I'm going to go and hit everything that I think is silver. I just can't talk really. So all the metal's done now. Basically, if it's a metal stud, I coloured it in bolt gun. Or if it's a tube going into one of the legs, I painted it with bolt gun. I could just take this off. So you can see I've done the underneath as well. So yeah, all of the studs around the trim, I've stupidly already done them silver. I'd recommend not doing that and doing like I did with this guy, painting all of the gold stuff in brown first and then gold, and then going to do the silver on top. So yeah, I'm just going to go and paint around all of the trim in brown and then gold. Don't forget to water down your paints, and try and be as neat as possible. Like, the further you go along, the more neat you really have to be. You can't be a messy painter for the whole thing, otherwise it'll look messy. Right, so all the brown's done. Also touched up some silver up here because I didn't hit it. But yeah, so all of the trim's done here, all of the trim's done on the head, hooves. I've actually done the teeth in brown as well, because these are going to be bone teeth later. I'm not going to have them as metal. And also any rings. I've decided that the rings are going to be gold. So same as last time, same as before, wherever you've hit with brown, apart from the teeth, you're going to hit with gold. And just start building up that gold. Right, so as you can see, all the gold is done, all the trim's done. All the trim's done here, trim's done here, here. It's all done, it's all good. So we're almost done with the Bloodcrusher. I mean, we're pretty much almost there. Next step would be to lob on the washes. So all of these silvers and golds, they're quite bright and pronounced. So we're just going to dull those down a little bit. because we're going to have a bright red demon on the top here. And it's literally just a case of slapping it all over all of the silver. Anything that you painted silver, put a bit of wash on it. Don't go too crazy like I've done there. That's just like straight up black. Take some of that off and lob it somewhere else. So yeah, I'm just going to go over all of the silver areas. I might hit these horns once or twice with the oil, with the wash even. Ooh. But yeah, I'll go over the whole model with a wash and get back to you guys. Right, so the wash is done. I've just gone around with a bit of silver at the moment and touched up these studs, like I said I would. Now, if you've gone a little bit too crazy with the metal at any point, what you can do, get a bit of silver going down on my brush. What you can do is you can actually go over with a little bit of a dry brush. Now, what this is going to do is sort of make it, it'll make it look a little bit scratchy. Make sure this is focused. So on this stud here, you saw that I went a little bit crazy. So what I'm going to do is just going to sort of semi-dry brush it. Just give it a couple of scratches. Good place to do this is definitely on this horn here. So obviously he's going to be charging through like battle lines and stuff, and he's going to get scratched up. Not only is it going to be messy, but it's also going to be scratched up. So just a couple of scratches here and there. The black we were talking about earlier. Now is a good time to touch up any mistakes you've made, because you're not particularly, well, you shouldn't really make too many mistakes with the red. So yeah, make up any, touch up any black bits now that you want to touch up, and we'll get started on the red gore. Right, so I've got the red gore watered down. It's quite watered down. Can't give you an exact ratio because I'm using a wet palette, but I put on a lot of water, so it doesn't quite sink into like cracks in your skin like that. It sort of just runs along it. So yeah, we're going to run along these gums, and all of the parts which you would think would be organic on the Bloodcrusher. And we're going to hit the leg here as well. There's a couple of fleshy bits on the leg here. Now the reason why this is quite watered down is because we want a nice gradual build-up of this muscle. We're going to be going in with blood red later, but you might want to give it 2 coats of red gore, especially further away from crevices. So, for example, if I do another coat of red gore, I won't go all the way up into the crack like I've done here. I'd probably start maybe around here, maybe like 3/4 of the way, as opposed to all the way up in the crack, if you catch my drift. So I'm going to go around the whole model, giving all of these fleshy bits a touch of red gore, and I'll get back to you and we'll get started on blood red. So what we're going to do now, I've taken a red gore blood red mix now. It's probably about 70% blood red. I don't really do whatchamacallits, I don't really do ratios that well. I just sort of eyeball it. But yeah, one thing I will note though is this mix is heavily watered down. It's going to be almost like a glaze. Like if I put this on my finger, it sort of sinks into, I don't know if you can see that, it sort of sinks into the cracks of my hand, and I don't want much on my brush, so I'm going to wipe a lot of it off it really is just going to ever so slightly upgrade this fleshy tone. So let's get started. So you can see already there's a quite a big colour difference. Swap that round to the other side of the jaw. There's not a lot of colour pop there. Swap it back round. You can sort of see the difference. So yeah, I'm going to go around the whole model, applying this blood red gore mix, and I'll get back to you guys. Last thing I'm going to do for the reddishness is I'm actually just going to touch up this eyeball with a little bit of orange, so it sort of matches this glowing. The flesh is quite bright, it looks quite raw, but I want to sort of distinguish between the two by obviously having this brighter than the raw flesh. So I'm just going to go over these eyes, which glow a bit, in a bit of blazing orange, fiery orange, whatever orange I was using earlier. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go in at these teeth. Now I've got a mix of I'd say about 50-50 of bleached bone to scorched earth, scorched brown. Oh my god, what's the colours called? I can't remember the colour. Brown. It's brown. So I've got about a 50-50 mix, and I'm probably going to paint about 3/4 of the teeth in this colour, the lower 3/4. If you go a little bit higher on some of them, don't worry too much. We're going to be gradually working our way up to bleached bone. So just try and do the tops of those teeth in that colour. That's that pretty much done. I'll just go straight into it. Going to get my bleached bone and just go one shade lighter. So now it's about 75% bleached bone, 25% scorched brown. I'm doing about 3/4 of the 3/4. Getting technical now, getting technical. Right, and I'll just go in very lightly with pure bleached bone. Now this will be almost like a feathering kind of technique. I don't know, I'll sort of make it up as colour. No, way too high. Look at that, just wipe it off my finger. So probably going about half the tooth to the top quarter. Having a nice gradual progression, apart from this front tooth here. I've just messed that up. So guys, the final step in painting this Bloodcrusher. We're going to go in with the grey we used to do our zenith highlight. US grey, although Codex grey should do the same job. If you are using Codex grey, I think it's ever so slightly lighter, so if you want to mix it with a bit of black, maybe 75% Codex grey and 25% black, or whatever looks good really. I'm a big fan of eyeballing, just do what looks good. That's all that matters really. So yeah, if anyone doesn't know how to edge highlight, we literally just go around all of the edges and I don't know, sort of trace them a little bit. So yeah, I'm just going to go around the whole model, not forgetting these bits here. Basically, if there's an edge, highlight it. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. I'll do all the edge highlights and I'll come back to you guys once that's done, and that will be the Bloodcrusher finished. So here we are, the finished Bloodcrusher. Yeah, it's all painted up. It'll look a lot better when it's been based, and we do have a guy on top here. But it's looking pretty good. I'll quickly show you one I did earlier. Here is a completed Bloodcrusher. Obviously I prefer having more sort of brass on it. Gives it a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more of a mechanical kind of look. But it's all based. I've got Vallejo's water effect here, and I'll show you how to colour it. But it looks a lot better. It looks like it's got a lot more life with one of these guys on the top. And yeah, I'll show you how to base the model and paint the Bloodletter on the top in part 2. It won't take too long. It's pretty easy. So yeah, until next time, guys. Yeah.